음악 가구들 즐기는 가이드 샘튜브 우승렬입니다. 오늘 아주 특별한 자리에 왔어요. 스코틀랜드, 영국 파인오디오의 신제품 국내 론칭 행사장에서 특별한 손님을 모시고 대화를 한번 파인오디오에 대한 얘기를 나눠보는 시간입니다. Hello.
안녕하세요.
Oh, good pronunciation.
Close. I tried.
Been in Korea first time?
No, many times.
Really?
Many times, yes.
Wow.
I think the first time I came to South Korea, maybe 1998, 99?
Maybe, might be. Wow.
One of my favorite, genuinely one of my favorite countries. I like the culture and the people. And you're all so enthusiastic about music as well.
Great.
So, which is helpful.
So could you let me, so maybe many, some industries in Korean hi-fi know about you, but let me introduce to our
Please.
fans of 샘튜브 and together the 파인오디오 fans, because who you are and you are about you and your new story in Pain오디오, something like that.
Ask me anything you want and I can tell you. So, the fine story.
The first time, so your name and first name.
Right. Okay.
Excuse me, your name and
yes.
Okay. What you are doing in Pain오디오.
Okay, my job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your role.
Yes. So no, I am Max Maud, Fine's sales and marketing director.
Oh, yeah.
And also a partner or co-owner of the brand that we formed only in 2017. A group of individuals, a group of true friends that met many years ago when we were running, or the management team of the brand that you've maybe heard of, Tannoy,
right? Yeah.
which was then sold to Uli Bounger's Music Tribe in 2015, and arguably went in a different direction to what we wanted to go in as audiophiles. So we set up our own brand, Fine Audio, myself, Dr. Paul Mills, Angie Sosner, Gabriel O'Donoghue, Stuart Wilkinson. So every director or department head of what was the Tannoy company left to set up Fine Audio.
Right. I heard big movement in the industry. Right?
Total movement, really. And again, fantastic. We Fine has nothing to do with them anymore. It's just literally the Fine management team that have gone in our favourite audiophile direction.
This was very big news. Many of the Korean audiophiles and some journalists is also naturally they heard about the news and the story, but it's very important to hear the right person in the Pain오디오 and together with the long been the Tannoy members.
Yes,
so it's very important to hear from you the story.
Absolutely. Tannoy is a brand that's very close to our hearts. Why? Because as a team we were there for many years. Dr. Paul Mills was head of acoustic design at Tannoy since the 1980s. So every speaker that was developed,
1980, okay,
a long time.
Right.
We developed all those speakers. It used to be us, but now we do something much better, and we've gone in a much more audiophile direction. So we look back at the past, but we are moving towards the future, and it's really the future developments and the future technology, especially for Dr. Paul Mills, that allows us to achieve everything that we have achieved in such a short time as audiophile specialists. So this is our passion, this is our desire. We are only interested in being the best of the best. So a super brand, really. This is our desire and this is our goal. Best in class.
Great. Yeah. So when I first saw your Pain오디오 products, I remember it was 3 years ago. I wrote a journal.
Yes.
Some reviews about your product from more than 5, I think. I suppose it's more than five of your Pain오디오 products. Make a journal review. And whenever I encounter your products, I feel that it's quite different from Tannoy.
Very different.
So,
Yeah.
And now, after 3 years, you made a new style, and some, we call it the furniture style.
Yes.
So,
the traditional speaker.
Traditional.
Everyone actually expected us to make
Really?
a classic or a vintage style speaker first.
Right.
Everyone thought that's what we would do.
Right.
But that is not what we wanted to do, because if we had done that in 2017, it would have just really been a slight photocopy of it would have just been an easy continuation on from what we had done when we were all in the previous company. And that was just not enough. It was just not good enough. So Dr. Paul was adamant that he wanted to develop new technologies, a new point source drive unit, which we have the magnificent IsoFlare drive unit now, and our patented bass tracks diffuser system, which we use in all the top models. So it has actually taken us 4 or 5 years to get to the point where we now have the fine vintage and the slightly lower priced fine vintage classic ranges that use all this great new technology. So we've moved the game on technically and performance-wise, acoustically, to a much higher level than ever before.
So it's only started 3 or 4 years ago.
Really 4 years ago when we started to get moving.
So his story is short, but you have many things in your, as you told me, that passion, you call it. So you have many ideas and passion together. So the new product development will be very fast moving, I think. So is there any plan to, next to the, we'll see and hear about your classic and vintage lines today, but could I ask you next plan for the
Well, we are always evolving, and we have moved very quickly because again, this is a lifetime's work, a lifetime's ambition for us. This is all we have done. Collectively, someone calculated that we have around 200 years experience. I've been doing it for over 40 years. I know Dr. Paul Mills has been doing for over 40 years, and the other guy. So we've got a massive experience, which of course has allowed us to bring together a company and a brand and a result very quickly. As far as the future is concerned, we think we have perfected the technology today, and it is at a much, much higher level than anything that we had in the old company when we'd worked previously. But that's technology for you. Nobody wants to drive a car from the 1990s or watch a TV from the 90s. Things move on. So as much as we have the appearance with the new fine vintage and vintage classic of a traditional vintage box, but actually you have the latest up-to-date performance. So the form and the function was really important to Dr. Paul. Not just to have the look wasn't enough, because that's easy to do, but to actually have that latest performance. Everybody wants an Aston Martin James Bond DB5, but you don't actually want one to drive. What you actually want to drive is a new DB11. You want something that's relevant and current, but you want it to look like a piece of art. So and that's what we think we've achieved, and that's what everyone is telling us we have achieved with the vintage. The form and the function. You are getting the best of both worlds. As far as the future is concerned, I think there will be developments in the higher regions. There's talk of a super series. Something that will be much higher up,
much higher and much bigger,
much higher up. So if for example, I am not clever enough to do the conversion into Korean currency straight away, but in dollars or in English pounds, if we had a top vintage model in the 30 to 40,000 region, we would maybe do something in the 80 to 100,000 pounds, so twice again. But these things take time. It's taken us 4 to 5 years to develop the vintage now.
But much shorter than the other guys, because
Yeah.
they were very well experienced in.
So we can do it, but we will only do it when the performance. We are not one of these brands that just puts an expensive price tag on something just for the sake of being, oh, it's expensive. No interest in that. You know, we are engineers and we are musicians, so we see a lot of products in the market that are just expensive for the sake of being expensive. Do they really perform? Not so sure. Everything that we do, we think our products, even the expensive ones, we think they're actually fantastic value because we know what they do and we know what goes into them, you know. Our products are not a facade, you know, there's actually a lot behind them.
Right.
So when we do something at a significant price point, way higher, it will take time to achieve that, and the performance will have to be there to justify that. The issue always is, it's the law of diminishing turns, you know, that when you already have a performance at this level, to actually make something better, it's hard. You know, you have to spend time
I understand.
developing new technologies, new materials.
Sure.
It's difficult.
Right.
But yes, we will do something even higher in time.
Okay. When you hear that people say about, your products look like much like Tannoy, something like that, how do you feel about that? Because you may feel good, on the contrary, you may feel bad, something like that.
Well, we you know, at a glance, as we would say in English, at a quick glance, yes.
Only appearance.
I could imagine, I can understand why people would say, "Oh, yeah, it looks like a Tannoy." But you could say the same about one of the traditional JBL speakers or one of the Klipsch Heritage speakers, which is an old-fashioned box as well. You know, a quick look, they all look like you know each other.
Just similar, yeah.
But when you actually spend more than a second and you look at them, then you actually look at the drive unit and you realize there's nothing like it on the market. And then you notice this strange thing at the bottom of the loudspeaker, which is the bass tracks diffuser, which we developed. And then you start to look at it more and you think, actually, it bears no relation to products that have gone in the past. So we understand why the overall look is of a vintage style, but after that there's no comparison. They're completely different.
Right.
You know, and you know the difference between the fine vintage and the vintage classic, in one word, is cabinet. You know, so
sorry?
It is the cabinet, the actual cabinet of the speaker. So the technology and the drive units are very, very similar, actually, but the cabinets are very different. And we always say that the cabinet accounts for about 50% of the performance of the speaker. So the birchwood ply sculptured cabinets, the oiled real wood magnificence, and it's walnut and bow walnut of the full vintage is at a completely different level to the rectangular or square, you know, sided vintage classic, because that doesn't have anything like the cabinet structure that the full vintage has. But it still has the bass tracks diffuser, it still has the isoflare drive unit, you still have the adjustment of the HF energy in the presence. The full vintage crossovers are cryogenically treated.
Yeah.
They are not on the vintage classic, but honestly, the best value for money speakers that we make are the vintage classic, because you are getting 80 or more % of the performance of the full vintage, but at half the price. You know, I'm really proud. I'm happy because I'm really proud of what we did with Tannoy in the past when we were. But you know, fine has nothing to do with Tannoy now. We are only interested in fine in the direction we have taken in. But, you know, we have a lot of love and warmth in our hearts for the Tannoy brand because it's a fantastic brand. You know, who owns it now and what it's doing with it is a question that is for other people to ask. not us. You know, you have to look at a company's products.
Right.
You know, there's a saying, it's not what you've got, it's what you do with it. So what is new? Who are the people behind it, you know?
Right.
So I have sold loudspeakers all my life.
Yeah.
As well as making music, because I was a semi-professional musician for many years before I started working full-time in hi-fi. So,
so as a long been audiophile, been user of the Tannoy for my audiophile life. So I hope Tannoy will also get along well, but it's moved to their spirits moved to a new company, new brand, Painaudio, I think.
Well,
so,
yeah, many people. We don't say that. Other people say same company, different name. That's for other people to judge, not us. You know,
it's different.
You know, I would say we are not
okay.
because we have developed so there's so much more. So.
Right, and so I know when you say that your story. You play as a musician? You work as a musician?
What kind of percussion, drums, percussion and drums. And a lot of people say drums are not real musicians, and there's lots of jokes in English. But I can assure you, from a very early age.
Really?
I think I started playing when I was 8 or 9, which isn't super young, but it's young enough. And I learned how to read and write music quite well at an early age. And I played all over for many years. Did lots of studio work because I used to read and write music very well. Probably not now, but so it was always that connection with sound. I was always listening to sound. Yeah. So from a very young age, I could understand what made something work and why something maybe didn't work. And that was my passion. That was my job. So for many years, that's all I did. And as I grew up and I needed to buy a house and buy a car, I realized I needed to make more money. So I started working in hi-fi stores during the daytime, part-time. So my music passion was the full-time bit, and my part-time job was working in hi-fi stores. But as I got older and I got a wife, then the hi-fi store started to be more full-time and the music started to be more, you know the story. Most musicians are the same. So I still play, nothing like as much as I used to because I'm too busy now. But it's a passion. Music is a passion. Right. I play guitar badly. I play drums reasonably well still.
Everything you do.
But it's sound. I was always very interested, excuse me, in how sound worked. Because sound is actually very slow. It doesn't move very quickly.
Well know about the timbre of the instrument.
Yeah.
And the acoustic too.
Yeah. Right. See, I love the idea of, sometimes I play an electronic drum kit, which is interesting, and they have actually got a lot better over the years. So that was always interesting for me to understand sound, and then of course I started working in hi-fi and developing speakers and meeting people like Dr. Paul, and so it's always been you know, a love and a passion and a joy and a job as well. That, you know, you notice there that the job bit came last. So it's the passion and the love comes before the job.
Right.
And that is very true even today of Fine. When we started Fine Audio in 2017, really it was a desire of the joy of what we had done. Yeah. We are older men now, and we didn't really need to do the Fine thing. We wanted to do it because we actually like music and we like developing these products. Just doing an average job, it has no excitement or joy for us.
You are what we call one of the most happiest guy. You do work you like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because then it's not work, is it?
Everybody wants it, but very few guys are accomplishing it. So you are a very happy guy. So.
Very much, yeah. You know, we are no different to other people. That we have good days and we have bad days.
Right.
But you know, even on a bad day, I can play some music that I like. So how bad really is it, you know? So it's interesting. But we all still learn. You know, as I said, I've been doing this for over 40 years, like the rest of the fine team. Right. But we still learn.
Very good.
We still learn all the time. And generally speaking, you know, a hi-fi system usually is only as good as its weakest link. So it's not just about the loudspeaker, it's how the loudspeaker integrates with the electronics or the source, you know, material.
Right.
And obviously we have streaming now, which we didn't used to have. And then, you know, I was selling hi-fi before the CD was even invented. That's how old I am, you know. So
you're classic.
Yeah, it's fantastic,
right.
you know. But if people are happy when they're listening to their sound
right.
and they are smiling, I have done my job.
Now I can understand why the fine audio loudspeakers sounds good.
Why do they sound good?
I understand because you told me that you like music and understand.
Oh right, okay. So now so okay.
That's why
I understand. Yeah. So you understand why? Yeah.
I mean that.
Yeah. So we're not just a bunch of guys that made a loudspeaker.
No.
we No, it's a passion. Yeah.
Right.
And I think also because we have that inherent interest in music, whether it's making music ourselves.
Right.
But we also go to a lot of concerts because we like live music.
Right.
And I think it's that energy and that emotion. And you know, sometimes when the hairs stand up on the end, you hear something that's like, wow, really good.
Great.
Music is just a joy,
right.
you know? So
I completely agree with you.
Thank you.
Okay. So personally, I do some journalist, and now I'm doing some YouTuber. So,
right.
But personally, I like music, so that's why I'm closely encountered with hi-fi gears.
I believe anyone that's passionate about something,
right.
you have an advantage because you are motivated.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. But it's a joy.
Okay, so it's almost the question we want to. We have many things to ask you, but we'll know you gradually.
Absolutely.
You have tons of stories in the, industry. So,
as I said, I love coming to South Korea. So I will be back in the very near future, I dare say. I'm happy to talk again.
Okay.
Always happy to answer any questions. If any of your viewers or friends or anyone wanted to contact or write in with a question, ask Max this. I will answer honestly, no problem.
I really hope and want to make a real schedule to visit you someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very soon is someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for your interview with the Sam Tube, and personally meet you as a long been guy in the fine audio and some Tannoy story. So it's my great honor to see you and talk to you today.
It was my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
Okay, have a nice trip and see you later soon in Scotland.
In Scotland? Yeah. Yes, you are all welcome to Scotland.
Thank you.
We can go and test some whiskey together.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a greeting. Thank you. 자, 이렇게 해서 오늘 파인오디오의 맥스 씨와의 인터뷰를 마치도록 하고, 이제 좀 있으면 이제 여기 론칭 행사 그리고 시청 행사를 또 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 여기서 마칠게요. 감사합니다.